Well, let's begin. First of all, welcome and thanks for being with us today. Today is Class 3 of Unit 1, which has been about food. And Unit 2 will start in 2 weeks on the 29th of May, and that'll be about air. And I mentioned it in this morning's meeting. If you remember that slide when we made the presentation, you had a picture of 2 different lungs. You know, one as we get older, how it diminishes, and the other one is a nice healthy lung. So the next unit, 2, is about breathing, about air. Very important unit, so we hope you'll be able to join us for that. So that's May 29th, and then June 5th and June 12th. And again, that's going to be presented in a classroom structure as we are doing here today. I mentioned the website, www.brainbonanza.org. Please go on there and check out the information and the videos. And if you want to contact anybody on the Brain Bonanza team, on the team page, there is a picture of the team members, and underneath it there's a link that brings you to our contact information. So that's how you can find us if you want. And if you want to reach out to Eric, his information is there as well. So let me put my glasses on here so I can read. As you know, Eric Sharesky is our master teacher for this program, and he's assisting us in the implementation of the program. And we have a new logo. How do you like that logo? What do you think? Looks kind of like fun. Eric's purpose is to promote wellness and to make you feel good. We all want that. His approach is unique as it combines Western, Chinese, and Indian modalities. He will bring to us over 30 years of explorations in the healthcare field, which have led him to clinical work as an acupuncturist, teaching as a yoga instructor, and academic work in these fields, including lectures and training to professionals, such as the American Academy of Pain Medicine and the Veterans Administration's post-traumatic treatment protocols. He has published or republished over 100 books and articles, and is working on another set of 100, including several of his own. Eric is particularly interested in the promotion of wellness and aging bodies and minds, and will provide us with tools to stabilize and enhance our brain functions. Please welcome Eric.
Thank you, David. This is wonderful. So yes, this is one of the logos that we're using. There's another one online that is slightly different. I just updated that a while ago. So today we are going to...
speaker. Is
this better? Better?
It's on.
It's on. My voice is off, but the speaker is on. If you can't hear me, let me know. Today is Unit 3, is of the first component aiming at stabilizing an individual within the context of an organization. And so the Unit 3 here is the end unit and is a transition unit from the first unit to the second unit. It is about a big term called nootropics that has a variety of challenge, and we will proceed to this very gently, very slowly, so that we can understand what we are going to. Again, my gratitude goes to all the people that have made this possible and that are making this possible with great assiduity in terms of being here very early in the morning, setting up the room, the technical support, the ability to have everything that allows us to put this online for all of you. So without them, nothing would have been possible. You can find us there. I encourage you to go there for several reasons. Once, if you register, you have access to the PDF of this presentation as well as the previous one, and you also have access to the video. The non-registered people have access to basically the reference list of each and every one of the presentation. Now, just again to summarize, our purpose is to stabilize the brain of an individual, more specifically the stabilization as we age. And this stabilization is looked at in terms of the interaction of what goes in terms of food, in terms of air, and in terms of interaction, which then moves us into the stabilization of an organization and the hopeful moving towards a participation with the community. We started with several aspects of food, and in that respect, here is the algorithm of what we move to. In terms of the brain and its interaction in the community, we have eat, breathe, interact, Interaction started with the most wonderful Da Vinci pairing system, of which I believe most of you have already started working with. It is important that we started that early so that in September, October, we actually have a feedback on what happened and how to move that forward. The eating is what we're doing. We finished with the supplement, which basically was allowing us to correct deficiencies. We moved into diet last week and concluded with an aspect of diet that would be a Mediterranean lifestyle diet. Today we are going to look at the nootropics, the definition, the function, source, and how to do a smart supplementation at the level of the nootropic. A transition that occurred yesterday in between the diet and the nootropic came in as a surprise for me, which was really a wonderful surprise for all of us, which is basically WHO yesterday issued a 80-page document on their own study on how to look at the aging of communities and what to do in terms of cognitive decline and dementia. What was very pleasing is that they also endorsed the Mediterranean diet as the best diet that you could do in terms of moving there. The link is there, so you can go there. It's a beautiful page, and it's actually really synchronous to the program that we are launching here in terms of the action of what can be done in terms here. So, nootropics, you should have been part of the initial conversation as a group on how to define this unit. Is it nootropic? Is it other terms? We all agree, we disagree. It's an issue that is not easy resolved, but what we can say is that the substance that improves brain function, and any substance that improves brain function more or less fall into the definition of nootropic. It differs from having basically supplementation through vitamins and having a good diet. Here we are speaking about the specific targeting involving in the stabilization and enhancement of specific cognitive function. So the discovery was in 1973 by a man called Georgia at the University of Leuven. This is the original article. It can be downloaded online. It's in French. The English translation is available, but it's not accessible as a free document. He basically was looking at a molecule, piracetam, that he discovered in 1964, and looked at it and found out that it was related to some aspect of the brain that would influence the neurotransmitter. That led to the very first discovery of the whole field of what he called nootropics. Now, as an aside, and you have to forgive me, he was working at the level of Leuven, right there, and then you have Brussels there. Why am I showing you this? Belgium is a small country that is about 95% of the size of Maryland. That's where I'm from, so of course I have to look at it with a lot of privilege. Privilege is one of the persons that I really respect as well. In the same amount of time, he's one of the first that basically put together the theory of chaos, or chaos system, that revolutionized some aspect of physics. That was also in the 70s, he got a Nobel Prize from that. So that's where they're from, or that's where they study actually, University of Brussels, University of Leuven. Coming back to the nootropic, here is the synonyms that you may hear from. There are synonyms, there are some variation. The neuro-enhancer, cognitive booster, memory enhancer, and smart drugs. Now, the term smart drugs much more involved the Western medicine component with prescription drugs that would move at the level of cognitive function. So, which is not part of the topic here. The topic is really about how can you access intelligently what is outside in terms of information and decision making in those aspects. The function, and this is what is important, there are two different definitions of the function. The function, as we know today, is it will improve the focus and concentration, it improves motivation, memory, mood, and cognition. All those are the functions that we covered in the two previous presentations, and all those is what would make a person with basically a slight dysfunction in terms of the cognitive aspect, but also mood, which I put slightly differently than cognition. Cognition is the ability to think, the ability to memorize. But if you're in a bad mood or if you are depressed, even though you may be memorizing well, you may not be the best in terms of interaction, which is what we are looking as we move in the third unit in the fourth. Now, coming back to this, that also means that you may have different components doing different actions. One of them may affect more the motivation, the ability to move forward and to go meet. In terms of pairing, you may not be motivated to meet the person that you are paired with just because you don't feel like it. But you may have a good concentration and yet you are hindered there. The original definition is very important. That's the definition of 1973. It enhances memory and the ability to learn. It assists the brain function under disruptive conditions, lack of oxygen, so that the ability of basically providing the brain with oxygen. The third one is paramount. It protects the brain from chemical and physical toxic. Then we have the one that most people understand, which is increased natural cognitive processes. And the fifth one is what normally is left out. It cannot have side effects. That is a big one, and the original molecule that he worked with, which is basically piracetam, has all those conditions. And it has quite an interesting story. Piracetam is not sold in this country. It's a chemical, so it's not a supplement. It's not sold, or however, it's not forbidden to be sold. It's just basically the FDA went after some companies that were selling it as a food supplement. It's not a food supplement, it's a chemical. So it's falling into a place where basically it's not a prescription drug and it's not a supplement, so it's nothing, so nobody's selling it. But it's not forbidden to be sold, but if you have no supplies, then you cannot have it. And so in some countries in Europe it's being sold. It's still actively researched because we're still discovering more and more function on this thing. Now, the action of all those nootropics or cognitive enhancer is first, it increases brain oxygenation. That's one of them, which is really important because in the next unit on breathing, that's where we are going to aim towards, and we will do it without chemicals. So, and that will be basically quite an interesting thing. And it modulates neurochemicals at the level of neurotransmitter, the little hormones. No, it's not hormones, the little chemicals in the brain, enzyme and hormone. More specifically, we saw the action of serotonin last time. This one, it's acetylcholine. And acetylcholine is a very cute little molecule that you see up there. And below, I couldn't resist putting it, that's the acetylcholine receptor on the membrane. It's quite a lovely structure created into 5 substrates. Those are very important. What you see in red actually basically is where the acetylcholine attached create the triggers that moves into the system. So, sorry, I just thought it was cute to look into the geometry of this. Acetylcholine is everywhere. And again, we will see that more, but you can see that the entirety of the brain is under the control of a variety of functions that is acetylcholine related. So to know how to mediate, to palliate, how to work with acetylcholine, it has a direct impact on different functions. It doesn't stop there. This is the central nervous system, that's our brain. We have a second aspect, which is basically the autonomic nervous system, where acetylcholine will interface with both the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, the two parts of the system that make you either fight or rest. Those two will also be covered in the breathing aspect because there are ways we can actually interface at that level and interface as a coupling with the central nervous system. So we again move through breathing into doing this kind of thing. Now, when we had a discussion about nootropics, one of the things that was interesting is to look at it here. It's a very serious topic, both for people that are trying to sell it, but also for people that are trying to get it. As you can see, it's a huge growth since 2012, all the way with a projection into 24 by $6 billion sales in the nootropic. And you see the parallel growth of the entire supplementation here. So people are aware of this. That means also people will try to sell a variety of things to people that may not know exactly what they are trying to get. And that's important to know. As you can see, the growth of personal use is increasing tremendously right there.
What is professional use?
Professional use is a recommendation by a professional. And now in Australia, they found out that more than 25% of the population is using them. They're just not sharing it with the healthcare professionals, which create a big issue because the issue that they are facing is what they call polypharmaceutical. That basically you have a patient that is taking more than 5 supplements, including brain supplement, in addition to the medicine, but they are not sharing it. So the interactive aspect becomes really complicated and no one really knows what to do with it. And so Google search trend, and that's again where the importance of if you're doing research, this is what's happening. As you can see, the topic that we are covering is quite important as well. Baby boomers, everybody is interested. I don't know what happened in 2016, but everybody is interested in the topic, and more. Nootropics, that's the blue line. Now, our team were in favor of using other term, cognitive enhancer, which is great. But this is what you look for if you're trying to do a research. You type nootropic, you will get more results, more scientific results than cognitive enhancer. So unrelated to the terminology, the ability to withdraw the research is important. Now, comes to how are you going to try to modulate your acetylcholine? We will remain at the level of natural sources, which is part of what we want here. And here it becomes more complicated. You have simple versus stack. A stack is basically you saying, I'm going to take something that improves my mood and something that's going to improve my memory. And I'm stacking all that together and I'm creating my own formulation. That's basically simple versus stack. When you move towards a stack, you also move into an increased complexity because there's interaction between the components that most of us don't know yet. So that's one aspect here. You can stay within the Western healing paradigm, the understanding of cognitive function, and then looking at the simple versus stack in terms of Western herbs, or you can move towards, for example, the Chinese healing paradigm or the Ayurvedic healing paradigm that use the understanding of supplement and herbs differently. The concept of stacking the component are, for example, in the Chinese medical model, 3,000 years old. So they are more than those things have been put together in stacks of 7 to 20 herbs that are known in terms of their interaction. Also, the understanding of how a person's mental capabilities have been impaired will derive from a different model, so that the approach will be slightly different. But it is important to look at that if we're really trying to optimize our cognitive function. Anyone recognizing any of those?
Geranium.
Sorry?
It looks like a geranium.
It looks like which one?
The one upper right.
The upper right.
A ginkgo plant,
On the
up on the very top.
The upper right, the one that looks like geranium, is actually a ginkgo plant. It's a beautiful plant. It's an old, very old plant. I wrote a paper on it in 1986 or something like that. I just found that plant to be charming, and it's an extremely old plant in the plant kingdom. So we have ginkgo biloba. Anything else?
Is that a mushroom?
That is a mushroom.
Yeah.
That is a mushroom. That's the lion mushroom, or the lion. I forgot the name. Which one? Any other one?
I don't know how to pronounce. Is that a acai berry or ACAI?
Almost a Thai berry. That's the American ginseng. And the last one, I wanted to take it with the flower as well. It's a very cute little one. It's the bacopa. So simple herbs, I chose, there's basically between the simple herbs and the supplement, there's 85 components. I chose to make it simple so that if you go home, you can at least think in terms of 4 or 5 or 6 and have something practical rather than being bombarded. Ginkgo biloba, and ginkgo, which is part also of the Chinese medical system, bacopa or bacopa monnieri, and the American ginseng, slightly different from the Chinese ginseng, and then the lion's mane mushroom.
And what part of the plant is used to make this material?
The leaf.
Is it the leaves?
The
or
leaf.
all
The
the
ginseng
whole
is the root.
form?
The leaf for the ginkgo, the leaf for the bacopa, and the whole plant for the mushroom. Yes. Now here is where they slightly differ. That's why the stack concept has been evolving. If you are looking at enhancement of the memory, you can go through all of them. However, ginkgo has a wider effect, while the baobab has an aspect of memory that helps with the concentration. The short-term memory is more the American ginseng. Reaction time means the ability for you, if I ask you a question, how quickly do you resolve the question and react by providing an answer. The lion's mane mushroom is known for the antidepressant properties. All those are listed, so if you want to look further into this. What's important is not only about the effect. Now with ginkgo, we have ADHD, anxiety, depression, and then so we have basically, you can see, you can combine ginkgo and the lion's mane mushroom in terms of if you have a more pronounced depressive tendency. Now, if you really, like me, like this morning I left home, I couldn't find the key of the house, and then I arrived in the parking lot here, and I couldn't find my shoes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so, and, so probably I need all of them by now. But what's important is the action. Again, the improvement of the blood flow is specific to ginkgo in this case. It also has antioxidant properties. American ginseng has antioxidant properties as well. The bacopa is more of a neurotransmitter regulator, but it doesn't have the other action. So that's interesting. And that's interesting if you're looking at, if you have a component issue, if you have issue with other things, and we'll come back to that. This is what's important in terms of synergy. For example, I'm working with a friend of mine who was just moving into a place where she has an aggressive cancer. So in her case, everything that is antioxidant must be taken out of the list immediately during the therapy, the chemotherapy and the radiation. So, but what else could be taken? Mainly you to think about this. Actually, they all have this issue. We'll come back to that. But if you look at this, what kind of issue could you have if you think about taking those and you are having another issue? I'll help you out. If you have a blood flow issue, at some level, you have to think wide and clear, and you'll find out where later on. So those are the simple but non-herbal is, and the one that is important is the L-theanine. So basically when you drink tea, you'll find out that the memory, the learning, and the concentration also improve. It's more powerful than caffeine. So theanine is more powerful than caffeine in terms of its effect. And here we have a system action in terms of the brain function, serotonin, dopamine. Dopamine is the only one affected by the list that I'm presenting you. And brainwave patterns is also affected, although we'll affect that with breathing. Tryptophan, anyone who came before knows that tryptophan can be affected in different ways. Vitamin B12, vitamin D has been covered in the first presentation in terms of supplementation, and tryptophan in terms of how to basically create a cheese sandwich or others. So here is the word of caution, very, very important. We don't know why not everything is growing up in terms of this concept. We still don't know about the interaction, short-term, long-term interaction, and the potential side effect. We do know that there is a caution in terms of the anti-platelet aggregation properties. All of them have this issue. Yes?
Have the effects that you listed in the previous table been established by Western scientific
That's right.
studies?
Yes. Everything here is supported by the studies. So it's just basically a condensed form of the studies. Now, your question is quite important because, and I thank you for it. There are pre-trial and post-trial concerns in terms of the side effect. The general approach is to be cautious because we don't really understand and know. And so there's a lot of products, for example, that have ginkgo biloba has been noted in the early 2000s to have anti-platelet aggregation properties. So, for example, and so people that had issue with bleeding were put off, and I know some friends that basically were put off from the ginkgo biloba. So they were like, they had memory problem, but the people would say, don't take it. Now, So now some of the studies were not able to duplicate this concern, but the overall approach in terms of the Western medical and mine as well is to be more cautious than less cautious. So it tends, the general trend from the research now is not to be able to find that actually they are wrecking the system in terms of the concerns. But the initial concern is still there. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Does the Food and Drug Administration look at these compounds or no?
No, if they're natural, they are basically nutritional.
Would be that
Yes,
goes through extensive
that's right.
trials and so
Yes,
forth.
there's no nothing there. However, I think that's really important. Now, what is nice is that, so we covered a little bit of the dopamine modification through one of the herbs that we saw before. So which one was that? Tame. Tame was doing that. Serotonin can be approached by two different systems, allector, endorphin, and oxytocin, and we covered the acetylcholine through the last semester. Where do you go from here? So basically, you have the ability to go choose those components. You can look at the table, choose which one you do. You can actually weave that into the first and second presentation to create something that actually is really a pragmatic, financially reasonable approach in terms of looking at how to work. But if you want to go more fancy, you can go to those three. They are listed on the website as well. I really like those company in terms of how they break it out. The first one will basically provide you a lot of information. The two other ones provide you a stack of formula that are already made. And I'm not in favor of building, of getting already made formulation, but for some people that's better for them. And the online reference are on the website. The A reference in terms of what is behind this presentation today. And there are some ethical issues, and also there's people that are now called biohackers that love to put things in their body and see how they can enhance who they are and how they are moving. But for us, and it's really very, they're also called grunter, I believe, some of them. It's really a strange community. But from the individual to the group, which is what we want, is like we are looking also at the cognitive enhancements that the group, with the wisdom of one group and the use of the other part of the group, can move together. So when we do have cognitive enhancement, we are looking in terms of this as what kind of moral enhancement can be provided with, empathy enhancement and altruistic enhancement, which is part of what we will be looking into for. How do we move someone that is feeling better into working better together? And so this basically finish with this. My hope next time, so basically the modulation of the acetylcholine-based part of the system will actually be part of what the breathing component will be. So we are moving into one into the other aspect. It's 9:15. If anyone has questions, feel free. I can stay here. Otherwise, I really would like to thank you for being here. Don't hesitate to send me an email. And thank you for today.